No, I haven't got a clue what it is either, but it's been several months since this Roman artifact was discovered in a field in Lincolnshire, but experts are still baffled as to what it is.
Somewhere beneath the soil of northern Europe lies an object that should not exist, small enough to hold in one hand, hollow, bronze. 12 pentagonal faces, each pierced by a circular hole, no two holes the same size. At every corner, a rounded knob, carefully cast. It is called a Roman dodecahedron. Fewer than 130 have ever been found. That number alone is an anomaly. Rome manufactured objects by the thousands. Yet these artifacts appear like scattered whispers rare, deliberate, and completely unexplained. No Roman document mentions them. No emperor commissioned them. No scholar described them. For an empire that cataloged everything from sewer systems to military boot sizes, that silence is deafening. And what scientists recently discovered inside one of them may force us to reconsider not just what Rome created, but what it chose to hide. Roman dodecahedra follow a strange geographic pattern. They appear in Britain, Gaul, Germania, the Low Countries, the empire's western and northern frontiers. Every confirmed discovery shares this constant. Not one has ever been recovered from Rome itself. Not one from Italy. Not one from the eastern provinces. These objects existed within imperial borders, but outside imperial culture. And the locations tell their own story. Many have been found near river crossings, burial sites, and settlement boundaries. In Celtic tradition, these were liminal places, thresholds between worlds. These aren't spots where soldiers lost equipment. These are places where rituals happened. The craftsmanship deepens the mystery. Many were cast using lost wax techniques requiring extreme precision. Some are so perfectly balanced they rest stable on multiple faces of feature with no practical purpose. They were made to be handled briefly, then hidden, or buried. For decades, scholars proposed functional explanations. All of them failed. Military rangefinders? The holes varied too wildly for calibration. No dodecahedron has ever been found with range tables or military equipment. Candlestick holders? Many have open bottoms. None show scorch marks or wax residue. Knitting gauges? Roman textile work didn't require circular gauges, and the metallurgical skill needed to cast these objects far exceeds any domestic purpose. Every functional explanation collapses under scrutiny. What remains is an object with no identifiable Roman purpose, no documentation, and no cultural integration, yet crafted with extraordinary skill and buried with apparent intention. Rome's silence now looks less like oversight and more like a choice. Imperial law criminalized unauthorized divination and ritual practice. Objects tied to forbidden traditions wouldn't be cataloged. They would be erased. In summer 2023, in an English village called Norton Disney, archaeologists made a discovery that rewrote the conversation. Unlike most dodecahedra pulled from fields by metal detectorists, this one was excavated scientifically, layer by layer. In formal context, surrounding it were 3rd century coins, pottery fragments, and iron tools. The dodecahedron wasn't dropped. It was buried deliberately in what archaeologists call a sealed context. But the object's condition stunned researchers. The bronze retained a mirror-like patina, almost no corrosion. When lifted into sunlight, its geometry cast layered pentagonal shadows, patterns that seemed almost designed. One researcher said it looked like the object was meant to react to light. That observation launched new experiments. At the University of Ghent and Oxford, scientists tested how dodecahedra interact with light. The circular holes projected beams that moved in symmetrical patterns throughout the day. During equinox testing, some cast near-perfect pentagonal outlines that rotated slowly over hours. Could this have marked sacred dates? Solstices? Planting cycles? But shadows weren't the only discovery. Oxford's radiochemical lab analyzed residue inside 5 authentic dodecahedra. 3 contained traces of burnt organic matter carbon particles, oxidized copper salts, and faint animal blood proteins. They also found botanical residues, lavender, thyme, pine resin, all plants associated with funerary rituals in Celtic and Roman traditions. This wasn't contamination. It pointed to deliberate burning of ritual substances. The Dodecahedron may have been a sacred vessel used in ceremonies involving fire, scent, and possibly sacrifice. In early 2025, a leaked research paper sent shockwaves through archaeology. A team of metallurgists analyzed the Norton Disney Dodecahedron and several others from European collections. Their conclusion destroyed mainstream theories. The bronze alloy composition matched pre-Roman Celtic metallurgy, dating the object to at least 150 years before the Roman occupation of Britain. If the Dodecahedron predated conquest, it couldn't have been a Roman tool or military device. It pointed to an indigenous origin Iron Age ritual practice. But the team found something else. Deep inside the Norton Disney piece, scientists detected traces of calcium phosphate fused with amber resin and rendered animal fat compounds associated with funerary rites across Iron Age Europe. The residue included a distinct isotope signature, cremated human bone. The dodecahedron may have been used in ceremonies involving the dead. The fact that many have been found near burial sites now seemed far more than coincidence. One European museum quietly removed its dodecahedron from display after the findings circulated. As evidence mounted, a second pattern emerged, not in the ground, but in academia itself. Despite over 130 discoveries, no major institution has ever fully funded dedicated dodecahedron research. The British Museum didn't display one until 2014, despite holding one for decades. Curators admitted no interpretive framework existed. In 2022, a leaked conference transcript revealed frustration among young archaeologists. One called the dodecahedron a career killer too fringe to fund, too strange to publish. But outside official channels, independent researchers are now connecting patterns, ritual use, burial alignment, astronomical mapping. They're asking questions the Academy refused to touch. We began with an object that should not exist without explanation. 12 faces, circular holes, rounded knobs at every corner. The Romans built roads that still carry traffic, legal systems that still shape nations. They documented everything. And yet this object, crafted with precision, buried with intention, found across the empire's farthest edges, was never mentioned. Not once. Perhaps it was a tool we haven't understood. Perhaps it was sacred, tied to beliefs Rome couldn't tolerate. Or perhaps it belonged to a world that existed before the legions arrived. A relic of traditions that survived in whispers, passed between hands in firelit rooms, and buried in silence when the time came to forget. We may never know what the Roman dodecahedron truly was, but we're beginning to understand what it represents. A reminder that even the most documented civilizations contain shadows. That silence in the historical record is never accidental, and that some objects were never meant to be explained, only remembered.